Okay, so we got a couple of things to do today. Hello, the dog. How's it going? We are at the point where we're going to walk into a room and meet a character, which actually means we need to do some preliminary things, such as, for example, giving that character an actual rig to move around with. Probably going to want to add some animations to our main character. The icons need to be worked on because RPG Maker, this is unfortunate about it, but you can't do like an insert and you can't like drag items up or down. So you kind of need to plan out your inventory ahead of time if you want it to be manageable, which means that we need to kind of have all of our gear ready to go before we start doing everything. So today we're going to be focused on some odds and ends. Oh, easy. One of which is adjusting some of these icons. For example, we don't have magic attack anymore. We have countermeasures, which is like our evasion. So we actually have to change that, and that one, I think we'll actually make that pretty simple because it can just be debating here as to whether or not I want to keep the whole icon or not. Could just make a black screen. You fly by the seat of your pants on the inventory thing. Yeah, I could do that, but the problem is that then I'd be flying by the seat of my pants on the inventory thing. Like this is, I'll show you how much inventory we already got. I mean, like we're up to 133 items, and that's not even like, we're not even done with the items that the first player uses. And the main thing is just because there's a list of things that you can buy, and oh, this is black, so I cannot make that out. Here we go. But I've got common events for all the shopkeepers. There's like just a merchant common event, so you just call up the merchants and they sell. It's all the items. Like at the very beginning of the game, you can buy any of the items. Oops, I've got this in the wrong spot. And the whole point is just you're going to build your character however you want to build them. It's up to you. Go wild. Don't let anyone else tell you what you cannot do. But yeah, if I want to do that, I'm gonna need to for manageability's sake. Let's see, we'll do like a bright red targeting reticle, and this will represent you being targeted. Do the shrinky-dink thing, it'll What's the player fighting? All kinds of crazy things. We're gonna start with little blobmen. So that's one thing we need to actually work on the creatures that we're gonna fight. So we gotta draw some of those. We need to make like 2 characters. Actually, I want to do. How about this targeting reticle look like? Reticule. Reticule. They're fighting themselves. Yes, it's a man versus self game, and the whole point is they're trying to overcome themselves. It's perfect. They'll call me a genius. They might just even come to think. I feel like I feel like one way to get the game journals to compliment you is to be a little artsy fartsy. And to be like, wow, it's so artsy fartsy. I didn't fully know what was going on. There's a broader message here. Art. But we're not gonna go for abstract art. We're gonna just try to make a game that is fun to play. We'll have a little bit of art. It's not like we'll be devoid of messages. We'll just, it's a video game first and foremost. Messages are there, but it's not all there is. I swear to rant just a little bit. Hello, Homunculus. Actually, this is all on the inside. Actually, this probably doesn't need to. See, we'll do like highlights. And then along the outside, probably like a black, and then another highlight. I kind of enjoy icons. I mentioned this, but earlier on we did like one icon, and I was like, yeah, they're kind of fun. But I do a mod for Stellaris called Sensible Late Game Text, and one of the things that I picked up from that is because Stellaris is a very icon-heavy game, it's actually surprisingly easy to mod, because although there are 3D assets, unless you want to add ships or things like that, really everything is actually just 2D icons. So it's like, oh, you want to add a new weapon? That's okay, just draw a new 2D icon for it. And I just got started doing a lot of that. And the nice thing about icons is you can do very high contrast, so you'll do like really dark shadow, like black, and then you kind of just work your way over to color, and then you shrink it down. And because icons are kind of tiny, if you start at like double your resolution and then shrink it down, the details, which were maybe originally a bit messy in the larger image, shrink down. I mean, like this is not too bad as far as they go in the first place, but when they shrink down, they kind of blur. Or you lose some of the messiness, and it looks pretty crisp. And yeah, these are the basic MZ icons that I'm writing over. The original icons, of course, I don't really. Some of them are okay. I kind of like this. They've got this like claw. Where is it at? Oh, this. I like how they've designed this claw. Like, that's a cool looking claw. A lot of these I don't like. I actually don't like a lot of the art in MZ, but this claw here is cool. This stood out to me. It's like, neat. All of my characters will equip the claw, and only the claw. Somehow I got way up ahead. Oh, wait. We will only do the claw. Yeah. A lot of the art for MZ I feel like is worse than the previous generations of RPG Maker. RPG Maker 2003 was very cartoony, and so it was kind of fun. Like, it wasn't really aesthetically appealing, but it was, because they were like little cartoon guys, they kind of got away with not being like a top-notch professional look, I think. And then they got into XP, and then XP, they kind of doubled down on the art a little bit more. They took away the side view guys, which meant they didn't have to do animations anymore, really. And instead just focused on making the character and monster art pretty good. And so that art wound up all being pretty good looking. And they were like, yeah, okay, so we've got this good art look. And they went to MV, and they were like, so anyway, we're gonna like get even lazier. And I can't tell if this is because they're trying to be accessible to everybody, or if they were just like, art is expensive, and when we update, we don't want to like pay fees for art. But they kind of went in a overall less cool direction with everything. In my opinion. It's a very subjective take, but in my opinion. Who's here as MC? The Claw! I think as a rule, if you have one item that is obviously cooler than all the others, it has to be, you just have to focus on it. That's how I used to, when I was playing with RPG Maker when I was a teenager. That's how I always approached it. Is I just looked for my things, the things that I thought were the best, and I was like, this is going to be the focus of the game. Or sometimes I looked for the things that were the stupidest, and I like made them appear all the time. Like, I think there was a little clown guy, and I had a game that I made where he was like the second lieutenant or something like that of like the main villain, who is like Dracula, and they just kept telling him that any day now he was going to be promoted, and that was the joke, was that he really well and truly believed he was about to be promoted. He was so sure. And that promotion was just never coming. They just didn't take him seriously. They're like, he's terrible for our brand. Because even as a teenager, I was fundamentally who I was, and that was my kind of humor. Just like, yes, just keep working. I think I named him Chobits. Just keep working hard, Chobits. You're about to be promoted. I think maybe tomorrow. We all discussed it. We all agreed. They're like, we're not seriously promoting him, are we? No, of course not. We would never. Oops. Just making sure I don't accidentally bleed over into these other icons. Well, it wasn't laziness that caused me to take my favorite things. I mean, it was just that, like, I was a teenager. I had no artistic skill. I was just being introduced to the idea that there was a program that would allow me to do stuff like that, you know, create a game. And I was just like, oh, cool. And then created a game with the assets that they gave me. Like, a friend of mine and I, we created a game. It was a really short game because it was so hard, but I had the PlayStation 1 version of RPG Maker. So we sat down and we were like, all right, I already had the computer version. I had like the 2003 thing because it was like, that was just released in the US. The company that owned it hadn't like gotten into the US market yet, so they weren't really policing it or anything. It was just like out there, and everyone was like, this is fine, I guess, because it's a Japanese company and they don't even know that we've released their software. But I had the PlayStation version of the game, and so like I was already kind of familiar with the concept of it, and I sat down with my friend, and I'm like, okay, let's see if we can make a game using this software. And like basically the game was maybe 3 screens long because it was so hard to do anything on the PlayStation as far as like game development. It is insane that they sold that. They were just like, someone just had this idea of like, what if we release this game for the PlayStation? Maybe people will buy it. And then someone was like, will they be developed? Can they actually make games with this? And they were like, I don't know. Buyer beware, I guess. But we took that software, horrible as it was, and we made the Adventures of Flibber, which was just a monkey. Like, we just took the monkey sprite from the game, and we like made a little zoo enclosure. And the game starts, you escape from the zoo enclosure, and the game ends when you kill the who we dubbed the zoo pilot. Pilots the zoo, and you leave the zoo. And it was only like 4 screens long, and there were like 2 enemies, because really the only objective was just to get out of the zoo. It was so excruciating. Oh, the RPGM art asset qualities. Okay. I'll keep taking this stray shot. We must be off track because that's a very late reply to what I was talking about. But anyway though, so yes, where was I? So the zoo pilot. So yes, first room, you escape from your zoo enclosure. Second room, you're like out on the path of the zoo, and like across from you is a whale in the whale enclosure, and you can get into the whale enclosure and fight the whale. the whale had no attacks. It just had a lot of HP. So you just like, you beat the whale to death and it really doesn't fight back at all. It just took a long time to kill. And then like there's, I think, a path and there's nothing in it. There's just like a child who's like, look, an escaped monkey. No, we're doing okay still. As far as things are going, and income is okay right now. Not Snorlax used rest. But yes, anyway, so the game escape venue is you get to the entrance of the zoo, and they just had a Gundam sprite, and we were like, oh, okay. So we were just like, yeah, sure, a Gundam, and we decided that was the final boss, was the Gundam, and we were just like, he's the zoo pilot. He pilots the zoo, and that was our game. Let me look up a car battery. It took us all day to make that because making an RPG Maker, making an RPG Maker game on PlayStation was so impossible. Let's see here. Good old boxes. This box probably needs to come down a little bit. We do perspective. Perspective. Mobile Zoot Gundam. Yeah. Yeah, that was the adventure of Flibber the monkey, and I've considered ever since of maybe just doing Flibber the monkey as a game. Except I know it's such a dumb concept. People would never. They'd be like, "What are you doing?" And I'd be like, "Don't worry about it. Hey, it's fine, okay?" Okay. We're kind of belaboring over the perspective of this battery too much. But anyway, though, yes, we are sticking to the regular schedule for streaming. And it's going okay so far. We are doing this. The bright side of this schedule is that so far it's almost like YouTube is a patron. Because every time I stream, I earn like $1. So that's an ad revenue, depending on how many get. If I get like 200 viewers, it's like 50 cents. Which is more than I actually thought that they would do. It seems to me that in the past, it was really, usually you didn't earn very much money from anything hardly, unless you were a pretty big YouTuber. Woo, 50 cents. Yeah. Kusogi. Here, I see the car batteries have like this little space to clip the batteries in, which actually kind of makes sense since they get clipped into your car. So we'll go ahead and we'll put that in too. Anyway, that's our sketch. And I think I'd kind of like to, since we've got the orange background, we'll make it like blue. Or at least part of it will be blue. Now we get to use the straight line tools again, because this is like slightly higher effort than, or at the very least is maybe not higher effort. Yeah, but anyway, on the note of the streaming and what it's worth, as predicted, I'm pretty sure that viewership continues to decline pretty much every day. Like little by little, it goes down, and but I knew that was going to be the case. It's probably doing better on Twitch, which doesn't pay me anything, but Twitch is like started off I think like first day was pretty good, and then like second day was not so good, and then the days afterward, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's okay. It's different though. I mean, like with Twitch, with YouTube, it's kind of like we get about 20 viewers a day, or 20 viewers together at once. And that's sort of like where we hover. With YouTube, it's like 20 viewers. With Twitch, it's about 4 viewers at a time. So it's always easier to grow from small to big than it is to grow from okay to bigger. I am convinced as well that probably YouTube, would make financial sense if they were always trying to reduce the quantity of people that they're promoting who aren't making back the cost of bandwidth. What's your Twitch? It is FimFlam Philosophy. And I mean, I don't care if people are there or anywhere else. It's whatever. It really doesn't matter. The main advantage of this is that I'm just staying regular on work and stuff like that. Getting new things up. Speaking of, today will be another shorter day. Still got to work on the podcast. I know sometimes the podcast stuff gets done really quick, and then sometimes it takes me like longer. Heroic adventure, but everyone keeps spoiling the plot. That sounds like a fun RPG Maker game. Maybe this, like, this, I should probably just do it like that. So we've got the light kind of heading in at the corner. Or that's the intent anyway. Got a ticket to Japan. Take Flipper the monkey, go to Japan with it. These little notches in here. Do I want to get larger on Twitch? You're in the top 1% of Twitch and you get $23 a month. Yeah, I don't really like... yeah, that doesn't sound like money that's really all that worth sweating over. I mean, it's all about eventually you kind of just have to do brand deals and Patreon and stuff like that and kind of make your own income one way or the other. So it doesn't really matter. The only reason I would care about growing on Twitch is if there was any sort of like benefit to growing on Twitch. And the thing about all of these programs anymore is that it doesn't feel like there's much benefit to any of them. So it doesn't matter. Aside from just the fact that they control all the viewers, it's really not. There's really not any. There's not anything I gain by any of it. Yeah, Twitch really does have a lot of people streaming to no one. It is strange. I once went into a stream that someone was doing. Like, he was a guy I knew, and I was like, oh, what's going on? I like went into his stream, and I got him with the Ligma Balls joke, and I wasn't like trying to get him. I think I was just like, oh yeah, like he said something, and I thought I was just being conversational with him, and I thought he was making the Ligma Balls joke, and I was like, oh yeah, Ligma Balls, and then he's like, Ligma Ball, and he goes, oh, you got, like, he was like, I haven't been gotten with that one in ages, and I was like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to get you. I thought we were on the same page here. We were, going in the same direction. And what do I discover? It's that I'm the only one thinking about this. I can't even remember what it was, but I feel like he was playing Them's Fighting Herds or something, and it really was just it was just me. I was the only one in there. And he was doing it every day for a little while. There was that real true blue belief of, like, if I just keep streaming, then maybe eventually they'll promote me to someone, or they'll be like, hey, check this guy out. And honestly, they just never. I mean, they never did, because I don't know, because they just don't. They just don't. They don't really have any incentive to. But I don't know. Streaming to no one, although it sounds kind of like depressing a little bit, it is fun when somebody shows up and they're like, hey, how's it going? And then you can kind of chat for a while. It's like a stream just for you. So that at least was funny. Was that I was able to be in there and just talk to him about it. I was like, so tell me about Them's Fighting Herds. And the real stream was the friends we made along the way. Yeah, well, some people really go all in. But I think if you're buying an office and like a bunch of gear and stuff like that, probably you have another source of income, or at least I would hope that it is making it possible for you to do all that. Because otherwise, yeah, that is a pretty big expense for what is fundamentally not going to have any payoff ever. And perspective, yeah, I was doing good, and then I wasn't doing good. Somewhere in there. Maybe if I had perspective lines, or if I was just paying a little closer attention. But I think that part of what goes on is I mean, like you will see that the people who are doing well on it, with the streaming stuff are like, investing in all that equipment, and it's kind of like just to get started. People, you'd be like, well, I better do the same, or otherwise, I'm gonna get blown out of the water by the people who did invest. Yeah, some people dream big on the whole content creator thing and are just all in on it. But I don't think it's always like, because I know of one person who does that, and they like bought everything, but they were like a software, or like an engineer, and so they go out, they've gone all in and they bought all this stuff and they're like super into it. But for them, like, the worst case is that it's a hobby, because although they really want to be like a big content creator, like, I don't know them, but I know of them. It doesn't really matter that much if they succeed or fail, because their income is fine. Like, they have a source of income, so it's okay. Chat just raised more money for you. Well, that was really nice of your chat to immediately to be like, oh no, your PC is broken. Don't leave. Don't quit. I mean, I get that though, because you're there, like, for some in some cases, like, it might be, they listen to you while they work, and it's so hard to find stuff now. So I can see people being like, oh no, my favorite streamer is like quitting because their computer broke. But then, like, if this is like how you keep entertained at work, and then you're just like, I'll have to figure out something else to do if they stop streaming, then you go in and you're just like, I can help with this, I can fix this. Keep doing the stream. Don't quit. Otherwise, I gotta find a new source of entertainment during the work day. Which is also why I'm really wasn't really expecting growth or anything like that with these streams, because I assume there will be people who will watch during the workday. But I've got days when I've got more energy. I've got days when I've got less energy. The streaming is to keep on a schedule more than to entertain strictly. So. Hello, Anla. So what kind of game is this? It's an RPG game. Your standard RPG Maker thing in many regards, although with a few twists. For example, we're not using the JRPG battle formula. We've got our own thing going on. I've got my own thing. I don't think anyone would get that reference, but do my own thing. There was this. I used to listen to Funky Panda a lot when it was going on, and I got brought in to do some commercials for their Funky Way FM stuff. And after that, I would just listen to them all the time, like whenever I was working. Oh yeah, so I believe it's got to be so saturated. Like there must be so many people on there. I don't even bother to look. It's you're not gonna be able to tell that's some kind of label. I don't even bother to look on that stuff. I just assume it's beyond terrible, and I don't know, like they've never been really good about promoting people. I was approached once by a Twitch representative, and she was like, "Come stream." She goes, "I see you're streaming on Picardo. Will you come stream on Twitch?" And I was like, "I could. Are you guys gonna? But are you gonna like promote anything I do though?" And she was like, "I can't guarantee that." And I'm like, "Okay, well." I don't. She was. I think she also tried to reach out to Pymations, and she was like, "I don't know if you know Pymations." I was like, "I've talked to Pymations." And she's like, "Wow, it's really crazy how you guys all talk to each other." And I was like, "Yeah, it turns out, at any given time, there's really only so many surviving animators on any platform, and people kind of underestimate how small those communities really are. Like, I mean, you just kind of meet everybody who's doing something in your era. I never talked to Hot Diggity Demon, but I feel like he might be one of the only pony animator guys I like never talk to. So he stands out in my head as somebody we just weirdly never spoke to. I at least had a conversation once with virtually every other guy who did a pony cartoon. Well, everything can be impersonal. You can make it more personal. I feel like the streaming stuff used to make everything a lot more personal because you'd be talking to people all the time. And unlike some streamers, I often just hand out invites to the Discord on our streams, and there's a link, and that's how we would get new members. In Picardo, a lot of times what it would be is we'd bring people on, and they could chat during the stream. So if they had opinions or observations, then they'd be like, it's not always great because sometimes people come in and they've got like really annoying observations that they want to make, but it's something new for the day. And then they hang around. Then there's a community thing on Saturdays. I've been doing A Song of Ice and Fire. Oh yeah. See, I've always thought about how YouTube earning is probably pretty good if you're living in a country where you really don't need hardly any money to get by. Like for sure, if you're in like Malaysia or somewhere, then you're pretty good on what you can get. Like you're like $200 for streaming. Like, oh man, that's a decent amount of money. Lisa's dollar is locked into a value of 50 cents USD. For most people in the US, if you're going to do like YouTube stuff, it tends to be these days gig money. It's not like actual, you know, income, because you just can't. What? Oh. Well, hold on. Okay. Yes, you're watching 7 minutes in the past. Yeah, I think that came up earlier, because if he said something and then I responded, and then if he like replied to my response way later, I was like, I think. Okay, you can't tell. This is a little thunderbolt. It would be a little thunderbolt. Hard to make it out, but there it is. And then also we'll surround the icon itself with a line of highlights so as to make it a little more visible. There we go. Oh, he's on his phone. Oh, okay. So he's if he was on time. Yeah. If you're only doing YouTube as a hobby, it is a much better setup because it's really not. There's less pressure to get things done, and you can like walk away from it, which is really important because it is like the demands that they make are they're just unreasonable. Like it's very evident that the website is run kind of more by marketing than by people who make stuff. Alum X. Let's get on Alum X. Well, the thing that's funny is that with streaming, it really is kind of like it's very bizarre, I feel like, to stream when you hate it, because streaming is one of those things that's like you don't really like, you're just reacting to things all the time. So if you're like, oh man, I hate this system, I hate the streaming, I hate all this, that's a little bizarre, because like, why do it at all then? But with art, I feel like it's super common to hear artists be like, I hate everything about the industry, but they just keep at it, because I mean, like, what are you gonna stop creating things? You can't. You have a mental disease. It stops you. you gotta make stuff. You know, so it's like artists will always create. You can hate the industry, you can hate the money part of it all you want, but it's just sort of like I love making things. I love drawing. I like making stuff. So artists are a little more neurotic, I think. The artist dilemma of like, I just want to make things. If I could just make things and not have to worry about money ever, that would be great. Don't tell me about the economics or whether or not I'm going to live. Just Just tell me what you want drawings of. Every day I want to wake up and I want to draw something. And I feel like that's kind of where I'm at. It's just sort of like I just want to make things. I want to make something. Every day I want to wake up and do something. And really, the business stuff is a big pain in the butt. You know, like, you're kind of obligated to think about it, but you know, if I didn't have to think about it, so this will all be much easier. Focus on just my drawings and just my whatever it is I'm doing. But as the saying goes, if I had wheels, I'd be a wagon. We'll get some of these out there. Get them ready. Streaming's about throwing pizza at your avatar and stuff like that. They're Portuguese. Alamax. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of I mean, art's fun in a lot of ways because it's bizarrely, like, I feel like when I was young, I really didn't give, and this is probably common, I think, for a lot of people, I really didn't give art the respect that I would later come to realize it deserved. And that's not to be wait. What do you mean top hat? This is not a top hat. This, oh, okay. Okay, I think you're confused, RPG Maker. I'm gonna relaunch you here. There we go. Oh yeah, but anyway though, like, yeah, I was originally going to school for like pharmacy, and then I was like pharmacy, it was like chemical engineering with a background in biomedicine, because and that was like not intentional, it's just that I'd already taken a bunch of like medical classes, and then but during college I got really into the artistic stuff, and I started learning how to draw, and it was like, like, it was funny because then I had all these anatomy books and things, and it was like, oh, all the muscle groups are really important for the medical stuff, and then it was like, oh, you better know all these muscle groups for your artistic stuff, and I was just like, oh, like, this was a whole semester class, and they didn't make me draw the muscles, so just knowing the muscles wasn't enough. Then you've got to sit down, you practice it out, and then you get like perspective. And so it's weird because, I don't know, you can do it a lot more through feel and repetition. But math is kind of that way too. I mean, like, everything is just a skill that you practice. Oh, what's the setting world? So the vibe is upbeat. It's supposed to be a fun game, but the gist of it is that you wake up in your room. You're a little robot guy, and here I can even launch the whole thing. So you start the game, new game, you get your loading screen. Press delete to enter bios. We looked into whether or not I could do. In the old RPG Makers, you could have actually had the key do something. So if you hit delete, it would have been fun to go in and have your character. you could alter their stuff. I could still do that, but I would have to go in and like change the program and everything. It's designed now for mobile. So there's no delete on mobile. So it's there's some pros and cons to that. One of the pros is that I can like click the screen. So you wake up and you check your email, and you have an email from your boss. Your boss tells you you have to go to go do a job. And it really doesn't matter if you read the email or not, because Town's pretty linear. You're in like a little town. I'd like to add some NPCs still to flesh things out. But this is all we've got done so far. If you go to the right, you pass your boss's estate. It's a big fancy place, but they won't let you in yet. That's later. And then you go to this little factory. You'll go in the factory, and that's where you meet your first character or your first friend. And then you've got to do some work at this factory, and of course that gets botched. So after that, though, you'll go and you'll meet your boss, Mr. Tikrin, and he'll explain that the stocks have stagnated. No one is buying stocks, and the price has flatlined. And oh my god, it's a major disaster. So he sends you out on an adventure to find the three boards of director besides Mr. Tikrin himself. And your objective is to destroy them or force them to sell the stocks so that Mr. Tikrin can do a stock buyback and raise the stock prices and save the company. And so you'll travel around the world and you'll fight like various civilizations. It's like the post-apocalypse. So instead of finding humans, it'll turn out that the boards of directors have been like, I don't know, I've given up on humans. I'm all about bird people now, or I'm living in the mountains and whatever. And so you'll have to like fight these new civilizations that they've surrounded themselves with to get to them, and then force them to sell their stocks. and then Mr. Tikrin will be like, oh, thank goodness, we've saved the stocks. But oh no, they flatlined again. And so I'll just keep sending you out until you've defeated all the stockholders, and then at the end we'll have a big hurrah. And that's the gist of the game. So we've got like 3 major parts. There will be 2 sections because you've got to recruit two party members. So in total, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sections of the game. So we'll have like seven little legs of the game, and that's the plan. Super Evolved Apes. I don't know, Super Evolved Apes feels a little too obvious. I know I'm planning a civilization of pillbugs that live in the junkyard, a bunch of birds that live in in the woods. They're like super evolved blue jays. And then there's like the second boss is like part giraffe, but he's got like an elk's head, so he's like a giraffe but with like a great big like rack of horns, and he's gonna like shoot solar beams from between his horns. Like his, like flare, like so like set you on fire. Yeah, I do most of the voices. We do occasionally have other people who come in and do voices, but I do the majority of them. So like right now, if you're following the We Will Not Play D&D podcast, I am all 4 characters in that. So that's all me. All of the main characters in the My Little Pony animations are me, so I do like all of the, Twilight, Dash, AJ, everybody. I did all those characters. I did the Cutie Mark Crusaders, except for Thrakkerzod. Thrakkerzod was my friend Alan. Alan also did Celestia.
Oh, this is my. Rainbow Dash is just a voice. It's not my normal speaking voice.
I just spent the entire game talking like this. No, the Twilight Sparkle is like my normal. That's my normal voice. Which leads a lot of people to be like, whenever you talk, all I can hear is Twilight Sparkle. Generators. Where are we here? Okay. Generator. Let's get some ideas for generators. What do they look like? They look like boxes. That makes sense. These are portable generators. Oh, there we go. This Honda generator has some exposed parts. I feel like that's a little bit more what I want. Yep, Greg and Twilight. Yeah, the thought was that since Twilight's the sort of the main character of the show, it would be much easier to just have her be my normal speaking voice, and then that way there would be pretty minimal strain on, you know, speaking in that voice. Let me see. I think I'll do like a lime green for the background of the generator. Maybe brighter than lime green. Go with a little bit of a neon. I hope the music isn't too annoying for this. I can never tell. Because over the span of testing things, you hear it a lot and you start to get tired of it. You're just like, I honestly, I don't know if this is good anymore. I have long lost the ability to determine. Her dash is blue because she keeps choking on marbles. Eventually her body just adapted and was like, well, I guess we're blue now. That's how it's gotta be. Greg is just the male Jenny Nicholson. You take that back. I make nowhere near as much money as her. Ah, man, it is nuts how well she ultimately made off with everything. It's like I have joked about doing more Pilaf and just looking at Jenny Nicholson's channel and just doing episodes about everything that she did episodes about and being like, this is my opinion on Star Wars. You know, I feel like neither the stars nor the wars lived up to my expectations. The stars were okay. The wars, I don't know. And I mean, the real comedy would be that it wouldn't succeed because there's such a like right place, right time component to that. Like, I can't do it now. It's already old hat. People already don't care anymore. Or I guess they still, like, I know the Star Wars community still cares. But it's yeah, like, I don't know. She she complained about Star Wars and just like, boom. Here's millions of views for you. And what can I say? It wasn't really anything I wanted for myself, except for the income. Could certainly use that much income, but I don't know. I don't really like the video essay format as being the primary thing that you do. I like. Because I feel like the big problem is that then you're just reacting to everything all the time. Or when you get to do your own, when do you get to be the thing? When do you get to be like, I have an idea, everybody listen. All right, so these robots. You tell everybody an incredibly stupid idea, and then they're all like, that sounds good, that's neat. I'm glad you're happy. You're working on. Is she a bread tuber? No, she's. I don't know. I don't really follow her that much. I just see that occasionally she posts things, I saw that she got like 9 million views because it kept trying to recommend me her video on, gosh, what was it, the Star Wars Hotel. And I actually, one of my wife's coworkers stayed at the Star Wars Hotel, and I don't know, he is like a huge Star Wars fan, also an engineer, and was able to save up enough to afford it, I guess. And I feel like one of the things that she spent 6K at it. Yeah, but I mean, like, she'll earn more than 6K. Like, with 9 million views, that's like, what, $9,000? Or something? Probably more than that. That's probably more, because you probably get really good income on a high view stuff like that. Do I ever regret roping partners into I don't. Hopefully they didn't. Just because I know that, like, for stuff like Rainbow Dash Presents, you'd probably get former fans that would bug you on occasion and be like, hey, you're this person from the Rainbow Dash Presents, and you know, at that point, because it was like, that's an ex-boyfriend, you're being like, talk, you know, it's kind of like that's a chapter that's closed. I'm not, you know, so that's the only thing I worry about, but I'm not really in contact with my exes, so whether or not they are worried about that or bothered by that, I'm not sure, but it's predictably one thing that I think where they would get fans who would be like, oh, I'm a huge fan of this, and then they're like, I am so done with that. I'm so not. I am not doing this. Ah, dang it! I knew there was something. Something's weird here. I let myself. Okay, this is not the green. All right. Yeah. You want fame from that Fallout? If he says he wants fame from that one Fallout radio mod, yeah, I didn't get downloaded enough for us to blow up and be famous for doing that. Unfortunately, supposedly the guy who did Three Dog was going to help out with that radio mod, but then I think he dropped out because I think there were like legal concerns, and they were like, you can't do this. Let me see. Let's say the light's coming from there. But so I got somebody wanted me to come in and do a series of mods they were creating a radio program for Fallout 4, So they came and they asked me. They were like, "Hey, would you be interested in doing some radio stuff for like Fallout for a Fallout 4 radio mod that I'm making?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, that sounds fun." And it was fun. And I actually got Iffy to do a character. Iffy is Finnish, and so I made the joke that like Finland was just untouched by the bombing for whatever reason, and it's like super unclear if he's calling from a vault or if he's actually from Finland, because they like they try to like corner him on stuff. They're like no, if you're from Finland, like how are you reaching us with a ham radio, because they don't have a range to get across the Atlantic Ocean, so there's no way you're from Finland. And if he just keeps insisting that he's from Finland, and he's like, yeah, and we're doing okay here. I just wanted to check up on you guys. And yeah, that's the Finland is fine bit. Finland is doing okay. How are you? You guys seem like you're struggling. I've been listening to your radio station. We had a couple of them, but that's actually what led into, or that's why I started doing the, shoot, what was it? The political one with Hugh Berger and everybody. Is I started, I did that and I was like, oh, that was fun. And I had done like fake radio programs for Funky Panda, for the Funky Way FM, and that was fun. And then I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna just start doing a fake radio program. And I started doing Radio Skyline. That's what it was. So I just started doing a fake Radio Skyline thing. Could do a mod for. Grand Theft Auto, yeah. I could. Grand Theft Auto, it was probably more popular. I feel like Fallout 4 was a bit of a letdown for a lot of people, especially if you were coming from like New Vegas and you were like, oh man, I can't wait to see what kind of story-driven excitement I get to go on today. And then you get into Fallout 4 and it's like, oh, we're not really doing story-driven anything. It's like an okay first-person shooter, yeah. It's like a perfectly fine zombie survival horror game. Like it is okay at that. It's not good at it. It's okay. Just okay. Yeah, well, at this point, if you get into like what is Fallout meant to be, it's just meant to be like a source of income for Bethesda. That's the main thing that they're trying to achieve with it. Is this make money? Game earn money. Give money.
I want you to know, as a huge fan of Fallout 4, who sunk a whole 45 minutes into the game, What you're saying is blasphemy. It's the greatest game ever made.
I feel like if you're a big fan, this is my hello Marvels. This is Marvel, by the way. If you're a huge fan of Fallout, you tend to get a lot of different opinions on things. But I feel like more of the time people will say that Fallout 4 was a bit of a letdown, except for in the rare cases where you find somebody who's like, "Oh no, I loved it."
I don't. I came into it. I played it once, and I never felt the need to come back. I did love the heck out of Fallout 3, and the reason I played it was because I read that fan fiction, that pony fan fiction, where what was it called? Fallout Equestria. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Fallout Equestria. Yes, that was one of the things. Everybody was always like, "Are you gonna do a Rainbow Dash Presents of Fallout Equestria?"
It's only going to be 5 hours long.
Yeah, and we were always like, "No, we're not going to do that." Thanks for inquiring. Thanks for your inquiry. Thank you for checking in. The answer is no, and also forever no.
What? Okay, I'll ask again tomorrow. Thank you.
Yes. Never do it.
I read it because it was like everyone was singing its praises, and I thought, oh wow, this is so creative, this is so interesting. And then I went and I played Fallout 3, and I'm like, this is just Fallout 3 with ponies. Very little has been changed. Whole scenarios have been just ripped straight from the game, and it soured my view of the fan fiction going forward. It's like everyone was singing prayers, like, yeah, it's great because it's based off a great game.
It's like it's based off of a game that was successful already. See, I never even read it. Like, people would just be like, "Will you do this?" And I'm like, "I'm not even gonna pick this up. This is too much reading, and I'm not." like, look, I enjoy a good fan fiction, but you can't do this to me. I won't tolerate it. So yeah, I can't even like dunk on Fallout Equestria. I didn't even read it enough to be able to dunk on it in any meaningful way.
So what's this you're working on? Icons for your game?
Yeah, icons for the game. We're at a stage now where we need to go like into a building and be like, "Hello, first character that we're meeting." And
I hope that's not the name you're going to go with, first character.
Hello,
like the first character in the game is like, hello, first character.
Well, the default.
Well, calling me that.
It'd be Unit 2. Your character's name, your default character name is Unit 1. So naturally, Unit.
Unit 1. And it's not like you'd go with Unit 2. It's like, oh, we thought about stepping up a notch. Or you could do the whole Marvel comic book thing, or use Unit 0.
Unit 0. No. We've already contacted Unit 0, and he wasn't interested.
So do you actually have like the gameplay down, the scenarios and everything set up?
Like, how do you mean the scenarios? Like, are they planned out?
Yeah, like this is what the next stage is going to be. This is the next stage. You have these tasks that you need to finish the level. Do you have like the gameplay system? Like, if there's going to be combat, is that all set up? I ask because you probably already answered these questions before, but you stream when I work, Greg. You stream when I work, and I know you do it to irritate me, and that's the whole reason you do it.
I did. I'm trying to avoid you. How did you find me?
I'm in your server, Greg.
Oh, right. I forget. Oh God.
Everyone, come to the Dawn Somewhere server. I host movie nights on Fridays. Tonight we're going to watch a Japanese horror movie about people shooting a movie in a haunted place or something of the sort. I forget. I haven't really looked into it, but it looks fun. It looks interesting. Just come in, post images in general, get the local wizard mad. Whatever you do, do not post pictures of your butt. No butt pictures. As much as we joke, please don't do that. I beg and I beg. It's so hard. You would not believe.
You would not believe. We get arguments about whether or not it's okay. It's not.
It's like, but look, the artistic integrity, the lighting, like, yeah, it's impressive. Just no, don't.
But no. Like, oh my god.
So you got the scenario set up. I would imagine if I were to make a game, I would have the engine running, I would have a few scenarios going, and then I would kind of construct it as I was going along, and then I would create the art assets towards the end or as they were needed, or just do a whole bunch of filler art assets.
The filler art would be like that's a good idea. I think if you're working with a team of people. But it's all me, so my perspective is just like, I'll have to do this at some point anyway. So I'll get it now. And what's nice about it is that as I work on it, it's kind of like, okay, so I've got this guy or I've got this thing. And it's like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if... So one of the things I was thinking about, for example, so I do have like a rough outline of what we're going to do in my head. And as I work on it, though... I can kind of change my mind about certain things because I'll do something and I'll be like, well, that was harder than it seemed, or it was easier than it seemed, or I really like this character. So, for example, we've got this little security guy outside of the gates to Mr. Tikrin's estate. And when you talk to him, I was like, all right, so what should he say? So I went through his conversation thing, and he's just like, we're just thinking of like jokes. Like, okay, so you just keep talking to him, and then he mentions like, yeah, I rather than being a security camera, I wish that I could do like documentaries. I like watching birds. Actually, come to think, should I stop the birds from getting in? And like one of the stages is you meet like a civilization of hyper advanced blue jays, and like the final chapter is everything's got to kind of come together, and so the blue jays will be there, and so it'd be funny if the answer that you give the cameraman at the start determines how easy it is for the Blue Jays to like get into Mr. Tikrin's estate when you come back at the end or whatever. Like whether the security just like lets them in or is like sorry. Yeah. So
is he gonna like be very forceful, or is he just gonna be like, no, you can't get in. I'm not gonna open the gate. I'm not letting you in.
See, I haven't decided that yet, but I do know at this point that I want to go back and progressively go one way or the other. Or where if you told him, like, yeah, you got to keep the birds out, that, like, at the end of this factory thing, you'll come back and he'll put up a sign on the fence that just says, like, no birds. And he'll inform you that it's not working. Like, he's not sure if the birds can read, you know? And so if you keep going back, like, at every chapter of the game, you'll find that he's upped his game. And I was thinking, like, at the end, he'd maybe have, like, flat cannons installed outside the gate. And he's like, it's really the only way. I just gotta shoot them as they fly overhead. And I hope that they'll learn. So that wasn't like the camera guy having a thing about birds wasn't originally planned, but then after I kind of got that in there, I was like, okay, that'd be funny. So that's I think one of the fun things about the kind of ongoing process is that you do something like that, you design a character, and you're like, I like the way this looks, and because it's a solo project, you just roll with it. And so it's a little bit of that. Like, I've got a general outline of what I want to do. And it's not totally set in stone. If I think of something else that like is good and that's fun and I want to add it, then we do. Having placeholders would let us get through the actual gameplay stuff a lot faster. But I do like the advantage of like, okay, I work on this thing. I like this, and then expanding on it as I do it. That'll lead to some scope trouble because it will be tempting to every time I like something to really want to expand it more. Like for example, here's a good example. So I wanted there to be a park in the game, and so I created a park, and so there's like a merry-go-round or whatever that you call that, and then I made like a slide, and I was like, oh, what kind of slide? It should be like a frog, like it'd be like a frog with a frog tongue, and then like Miles came home. And he saw this screen, and he was like, is that a park? And he got super excited. He was like, "That's so cool!" Like he was like super jazzed about the game suddenly. Like before he was interested, he's just like, "I like your art, Dad." You know, he's just being supportive. Yeah. But then he was like way jazzed when he saw the frog slide. He's like, "That is the coolest slide ever." And he was like, "Can you go down it?"
Can you go down it?
Yeah, can you go down it? And oh yeah, Bull tell him about the frog. And yeah, so I was like, "Oh no, kid, I would have to like do an animation. I have to like make an animation of you going down the frog slide." And he's like, "Ah."
Just crush his dreams.
Yeah, crushed him. And so now because I've drawn this frog slide, and he was so excited. He's like little, but probably plenty of people would be like, "Oh, cool frog slide." And so it's like, now I got to go back and I got to animate you going down the slide. And that'll be like a whole thing. I've got rigs for it, but I got to sit down and do that at some point. And so this is kind of where you get like, okay, I keep expanding the scope because I draw something that's fun and characterful. Now Miles wasn't really that big on the swings. He did ask if you could swing on the swings. He wanted to swing on the swings, but the swings are too small for the robot. So
he gets on and then they break.
Yeah, yeah. If he wanted the frog to be a secret boss, just because it's just this like really goofy frog slide. It just stands out as being like, "Oh, look at this frog slide." So you draw an asset, and you're like, "All right, there it is." It's a background thing, but then it's like, I like this asset, and so now we got to do an animation, and maybe even make it a secret ultimate boss somehow. And we've just increased the scale of our scope, just like that. And so now there's more work to do, but
the scope creep is real.
Yeah, but on the bright side, though, at least it's probably a better form of scope creep. Because in a lot of cases, scope creep will be like, "Oh, I want to have a million different dialogue options." And I'm like, I'm already thinking a little bit about shutting down on that. I was originally thinking that maybe you would have the option, like there's 4 characters in total. There's you, a character named Zeke, and then Hadley and Ollie. And I was going to make it optional to get Hadley and Ollie, and I would have different dialogue depending on who was with you. But that is more, it's like a lot of work. And I was thinking that the conversations would change drastically because the group dynamic would change drastically. But I don't know if I necessarily want to do that, because then it does add tons of, like, I've got to do lots of different dialogue and lots of different things, and maybe that's a bad idea, because maybe that adds a lot of scope to the game. That's like, maybe it adds, maybe that's good for the player and they'll be like, "Yeah, that's cool." Or maybe it just, because it's like the conversations are all shorter, maybe it just makes everything more shallow. Maybe it would be better just to focus on the group dynamic and have the characters focus a lot more on having interesting character interactions than on the modularity. Because lots of modularity is expensive. And you see that very commonly, I think, when people do RPG Maker projects. And even when I was doing this, like, yeah, this is a big thing people do. They're like, "Ooh, I'm gonna be so modular. You're gonna get to do everything," and you underestimate how much that'll cost you.
Yo, I heard you like modules, so I put modules in your modules.
Put modules in your modules that you can never finish your game because there's a million different branching possibilities.
God forbid you provide a single, straight, well-told story. You gotta have paths. You
gotta have a different branching paths, and yes, that might be dumb. See you later,
I used to go to college, and I wanted to make video games for a short while. Then I realized only idiots would make video games. I think you would understand.
Only tremendously stupid people. I won't argue with you.
I got to a group.
Only very stupid people would animate as well.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to be a little dumb to make comics too. While I'm at it, and
Incredibly stupid. Just go out, put your face on YouTube, and just talk about the most banal stuff. People throw money at you, but no, put effort into something creative. Hell no, just use AI. Have the computer do all the work for you. Just people who put effort into drawing at all, especially if they do it traditionally, where they can't use Control Z or copy and paste. They're big idiots. Big waste of time, big waste of effort. I don't know why you would make a comic. Especially about something like alpacas.
I forget that you were legitimately insane and do everything traditionally.
Yeah. Where was I going? Oh yeah, I was telling a story in college. I got 2 college stories. One is appropriate, and that's the one I'm telling.
That'll be the one. The work safe story.
A work safe story, kind of. We're in a group, and we're going to try to make a small Flash game, and we decided on a combination platformer shooter, sort of. I can't think of anything. Just like a shooting game. You were an alien. You would visit planets. You would shoot. You would do stuff, and then you would take off. And somebody in the group was always insisting, okay, after you beat the level, which is the planet, you get to decide whether to liberate it or take it over. And I'm like, why? Why do we need to do that? And they said, oh, because you get a good and an evil path. And I'm just like, haven't even finished, we haven't even done anything with the game. We're in the planning stages still. And spoiler alert, it didn't take off because no one could agree on what they wanted to do. And I was vehemently opposed to it. It's like, no, we should really start with something small. We gotta, it really makes no... What gameplay difference would it give you? Why would you choose one over the other? Why can't we just have... You go to this planet, you destroy it, you go to the next one. And... They kept insisting, like, well, we need to have a good and bad system. We need to have a good and bad system. A good game has a good and bad system. And I'm like, no. Just like, you're just adding more work. Just, it's like, what? What?
We need a karma system.
You need to choose whether you turn the planet communist or fascist, or I don't know.
Do you eat babies?
Was silly.
Do you eat babies,
or do you take care of all the injured squirrels? Are you like a saint that makes Mother Teresa look like Donald Trump, or are you someone who makes Satan blush? You're one or the other. There's no middle ground.
No, well, I think what's funny about the moral stuff, every good bad system. Every game has a good or bad system. Why do you think I never play Pac-Man? Says listen, I can either eat the ghosts or I can let them live. And
you don't even eat the ghosts. You eat the sheets that they're hiding under.
And then their eyeballs go
another sheet.
They don't stay gone. They didn't stay dead. Yeah, I mean, if you take a lot of games when they do the good or evil thing, it really is like there's no reason to be evil. And I think it's because players get mad if you punish them for making choices that are beneficial to them. And it gets really murky because if you're like if you gave them a good reason to blow up the planets or to be evil, then like when they do it, they'd be like, how is this evil? I had a good reason. And... it's all kind of like evil is in the eye of the beholder. So you have to tell the player, like, you are evil. You really do have to just sit down and be like, all right, do you eat the baby? And if the player goes, yes, then you go, okay, that was evil. That was wrong. You should not have done that.
People did not like that.
People did not like that. Your fellow humans felt that was a little irrational. And they question your moral choices. Yeah. The classic, why is this choice binary example would be like the Geth mind control scenario. And I didn't play Mass Effect 2. or any of the Mass Effects actually. So I don't know what that is, but I do know that a lot of times when games try to give you slightly more like nuanced ethical choices, I always hate how they they can't infer context. So you might do something that's arguably evil, and the game will kind of judge you on like what the developers felt was the right answer and not really like what you were thinking, because they can't get in your head. So you can have like very good intentions. You can do something like I don't know. I can't think of a good example, but I do know that I've definitely played games where it's like I do this or I do that, and the game's like, that was bad actually. That's like, but I had the best intentions. When I ate the baby, I thought I was saving everyone from a terrible disease. I was taking the sacrifice. The baby had a communicable illness.
You don't understand. That was the baby from Signs.
I like how I just joined,
one.
and with zero
Yes, hello.
context, I know you're talking about what is it? The Pit.
The Pit. Oh yeah, well the Pit. Yeah, they have the. That's a mod that lets you eat the baby in the pit.
Is it? I thought you could just do it if you had the cannibal perk.
I could swear it was a mod. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Something
I'm
else.
gonna-
The game gives you options to be evil. They don't give you all the way evil. Like Skyrim, you can't kill kids.
Well, Skyrim doesn't have a good or evil system. They have a vampire or no vampire system. You can be a vampire or not. But I'm gonna use the restroom. I'll be right back.
Cool beans. This is my stream now. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. All this power. You can't kill kids, but boy, they can witness your crimes. That is correct. Get the cannibal perk. Eat their parents. Ay. Hey, Justin, how are you?
How's it going, buddy? I'm doing good.
I'm doing all right. I'm enjoying the day off work. Finally got to catch Greg streaming, so that's nice. But I'm gonna have to take off here in just a second. So I'm gonna have to leave you to entertain everybody.
Oh dear. I
The pressure is on. Maybe you should try talking about something like alpacas. Alpacas are great.
alpacas. Well, I mean, the only thing when you say alpaca, the literal only thing I can think of is them's fighting herds, which because they had that one alpaca character, which I'm not surprised, but I'm still rather upset that they did just go, yeah, we're not doing story mode. Screw you guys. Which, to be fair, it's not a bad fighting game. I mean, as far as I'm aware. I'm not a fighting game expert. The fighting game I play the most is probably Mortal Kombat 10.
I haven't played any Mortal Kombats in a while. But yeah, them fighting herds, I got like 200 hours in.
Is that Greg? Is he back?
What's up? Yeah, I'm back.
Oh no. I was
Fantastic.
bragging about how this is my stream now since you were gone, but
You've taken
back.
over.
I'm just trying to take over. That was my whole plan. Anyway, I'm going to take off. I got things I need to take care of, but I'm glad I got to catch you.
Okay. Yeah, well, I hope you show up for some later ones. It was fun having you.
Thank you very much. Have a good one.
You too. Okay. How about pink? We just got to decide on a color.
I'm a bit surprised. I didn't think you'd actually just have this channel open for people to join your stream.
Yep, it's kind of the honor system, and sometimes we get dishonorable people, and then we kind of talk to them for a while, and that's the system.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's how it was in the Picardo days, and kind of how it always been. But it keeps things interesting at the very least.
That is true. Never quite know what you're gonna get.
No, we had a crypto guy come in once and defend AI. That was a couple of days ago, and that one was amusing in the fact that like later on I got a comment from someone who was mad at the crypto guy. Like the anger lingers on those ones.
Well, for good reason. I mean, the problem with AI these days is that people are just they're training all these models on content that they don't own, and they just think that that's okay. I have to deal with this all the time too with my job. I mean, people will literally just spam our website because they have an AI crawler that's just like, I'm going to take all of this content that doesn't belong to me, and I'm going to absolutely nuke this website in the process, and just so I can make my AI model.
Oh,
So it's a nightmare for sysadmins.
it's so good. Gosh, I was talking to Claudia the other day, and I was like, you know that scene in SpongeBob where like Squidward lays down on the floor and just yells "Future." I feel like that sometimes.
I think it's pretty universally accepted that when we were kids, we related to SpongeBob, and now as adults, we're like, oh my god, Squidward had it all figured out.
Squidward. Well, he didn't have it all figured out, but he had
Well-
he had the correct feelings.
Yes, he did.
He had the right feel. Yeah. Future. Okay. Well, what can we do? Ah, man. So I watched I will change the subject partly because I feel like it's not good. It's not good to talk about AI for too long because you will attract the people who are excited about AI who will come in and be like, well, it's not as bad as it seems. But I was watching the football game, the NFL game the other night. I'm in the Midwest, so these days the Kansas City Chiefs are doing really good. They used to not, but my son's gotten really into it. And I really didn't. Like, when I was a little kid, I remember I got into it for a little while. And, like, my dad took me to a game. And it was much cheaper to go to the games back when the Chiefs were losing all the time. But the problem was the Chiefs were losing all the time. So I got into the game, and then it was kind of boring because we just, like, lost. But I got to have, I think they had chili at the concession stand, so I got to eat some chili, and I was like, that was good. The chili was pretty good.
I love that that's the core memories. Well, I had chili, so it was a good day.
Yeah, it was a good day. I had a good time. Hung out with my dad, ate some chili, watched a football game, watched my team lose. But these days they're winning a lot, and so like Miles is taking an interest in it. He thinks it's cool, and they're winning. The only reason I bring this up is because I was thinking about. There was an advertisement for like Amazon or something like that, and it's funny because they're just like AI powered whatever so and so, and it's like you've been using learning technology this entire time. Don't go and act like this is brand new. I'm wise to you, Amazon.
Personally, I never really grew up liking football. For me, it was more about hockey. Because I grew up in Tampa, and Tampa Bay Lightning, surprisingly, are actually a pretty good hockey team. So that was kind of the big sport in the house.
Tampa Bay hockey. Well, that's interesting. In the Midwest we don't. The ice comes and then the ice goes. We have really, really kind of volatile weather. So you'll get like sometimes really bad winters, and then other times there will be like no snow or anything, or you just get sleet storms. So weather type sports are not as big. I tried to play hockey when I was a kid. We did have like hockey teams for kids and stuff like that, but I think my dad started me on sports, or I took an interest in sports too late. And so a lot of kids had been doing it since they were like 4 or something like that. And then I tried to get into it when I was like 7, and it was like, oh, he's actually way behind because everyone else had already picked up the basics and I was still learning them. So it was kind of like I just...
Right. It's one of those deals where they're like, okay, is everybody ready to go? And all the other kids are all geared up and ready. And you're like, how do I put these skates on?
They'd be like, how do I stop?
How do I stop moving?
Yeah, how do I stop moving? That was where I was at with hockey. Is they did like the hockey, and I was like, how do I stop moving? And they're like, oh, everybody else learned this when they were 4. It's like,
Yeah.
Help. I need help.
Yeah, I can definitely relate. Which is also why I find it rather strange that Florida, the state that literally does not get ice and snow ever. I mean, except for the Panhandle, but that's, whatever. I'm just surprised that the state of Florida has a well-known hockey team that's actually rather competitive. But I think they also draft like a lot of Canadians, which would make sense.
See, there you go. The secret is you just gotta pull from out of the country. They're like, come to Florida. We have Florida here, and they're like, oh,
We have Florida man.
we have Florida man here. You too can be Florida man. Imagine.
Technically anybody can.
Anyone could be Florida man.
I always find that so interesting because I lived in Florida for 27 years. Any time that you would do any kind of official correspondence with any kind of government-related entity, like emails, they would always have at the bottom, due to broad public communication laws in Florida, this email could probably be read by other people. Like, essentially is what it says. Like, it tells you basically anything to do with the government, the public can requisition that. And that's why we have Florida man, because people can just go, okay, let's look up this arrest warrant or this arrest, transcript, and it's like, oh, okay. And that's just...
I think we have that here too. They're called like sunshine laws.
Yes, that is exactly what it is. It's
Yeah.
it drags everything out into the sunshine is why they named it that, I believe.
Yeah, that's the gist of it. That's the idea behind it. Is we can just ask anything we want. We can demand records from 10 years ago, and all of them, all of the records. I think there's a cost associated with it, though. You do have to pay to do that, so that prevents people from abusively being like, "Show me everything."
Yeah, I'm pretty sure records requests do come with a fee, but I mean, when you have all these news outlets, they are happy to pay that fee because it means news.
Means they get to keep up with Florida man. National, he's a national superhero, state superhero, but national hero as well. Yeah, the downside of a
Maybe more of an-
transparent.
Maybe more of an anti-hero when you really think about it.
I mean, the downside, it's mostly just downside to the government workers. Like if you work in
Yes.
government, yeah. It's just a pain in the butt sometimes. That's all.
I still remember when that whole thing happened where people were like, this guy on bath salts ate another guy's face. And, yeah, it turns out the guy was actually also on PCP, but, like, that part never gets mentioned. Which, PCP is an incredibly messed up drug, from what I hear. And it, like, just, you lose touch with reality. But, that was a really big one. And it was part of what pushed the Florida legislators to start banning it was basically fake cocaine. is what it was.
Bath salts?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And then they started banning it because.
Yeah, because
Florida
that whole
banned
thing
it,
got a
so-
lot of traction.
Well, eating someone's face will generate a lot of public concern. I feel like if you want to make somebody worried about something, link it to face eating, and that would be a good way to get people worried about the. To be like, how often do we have to worry about this? Like, is face?
Yeah, I feel like if face eating is involved, generally people want to put a stop to it fairly quickly.
Yeah, it's a bipartisan issue. No more of that, please.
Exactly. Sorry, I didn't mean to come to your stream and talk about drugs. That was a big thing for people that lived in Florida.
That's okay. Like I say, this is why. I mean, when it's up to me, like I had a joke a day or two ago, where I was just like, let's put a counter on the board. Every day we'll get days gone without angrily ranting about corporate power, and like. Within the same day, I did it like 2 times, like on 2 separate occasions. And if he was like, we can't reset the counter if you won't shut up about it. So the advantage of having other people come in is that we can occasionally get away from my personal, pet issues and talk about Florida Man and him eating people's faces. So it's good. It's good for everybody.
I do hate that Florida gets a bad rep. Like, it's not a bad state if you can survive the weather, dear God.
That condo thing is terrifying, though. The one that fell. The condo thing, the one that fell down. Like there was a whole podcast that I listened to. Hello, Tarp. That was. It was about like how did they manage to get a condo that fell down. Like how, because you don't just like get a condo that falls over. It's not just like a thing that just like happens occasionally. It's like a process had to be observed.
What were the circumstances of it falling down? Because I haven't heard this.
So the thing about condos in Florida is that they're kind of lax on basically like a lot of inspection rules and things like that. There was a whole condo that fell over because they'd been neglecting maintenance on it for a long time, and because everything is like by the beach, the ocean is really hard on a lot of things that are built on there, and then of course like it's all kind of built on looser soil and things like that. And so there was a condo that had developed some problems because when it was first built, it was built with some bizarre engineering quirks. Like it was L-shaped, and that was partly because they wanted more of the condo to be facing the ocean. And that contributed to some problems, and then there was like the pool was beginning to leak into the car garage, and like they were aware of that. But fixing it was going to cost a lot of money, and so they just kept putting off repairs. And Florida is like really lax where it comes to regulation on buildings, because if they weren't, it turns out like a lot of buildings in Florida, because they're on the beach and they're constantly exposed to salt water, that they'd be very expensive to insure, and maintenance costs would go way up. So this place, they were kind of able to just defer the maintenance and defer the maintenance and defer the maintenance until eventually the whole building collapsed with like people inside of it. It was a massive tragedy. And it's kind of recent.
Oh dear, I have not heard about this. Then again, I don't follow news because I learned years ago that I just can't do news. It makes me angry, and I'm like, why am I getting upset over something I can't control? So I stopped following.
I mean, that's reasonable. Um, yeah, it was a big event when it happened, and it did lead to a lot of questions of like, how did this happen? Why did this happen? And so like the regulatory schema was partly to blame, and like the podcast that I listened to was just scary because you'd like find out like people knew stuff was up kind of, but it was just like there was nothing that they could really do about it because I don't know, there was like so many committee issues. Is it was like, oh well, we would like to make this change, but it has to go through a committee, and whenever they propose changes, like somebody on the committee would be like, I don't want to spend money on this. Like, listen, this is my retirement or whatever. Like, it'll be fine. They fought, and they were about to get it repaired. Was the thing, because it was getting so bad that they really couldn't deny it anymore. But then it collapsed, and then they tried to like blame it, like everyone. They just like no one really wanted to be at fault. So blame got passed around. There was like construction nearby, and they were like, oh, the construction nearby caused the building to fall down because they were vibrating the foundations too much, and the construction company is like, no. Yeah, they're like,
Yeah.
no. Yeah, because it didn't knock down any other buildings, and
I mean, building in Florida is already kind of a powder keg because, for one, anybody who's lived in Florida will tell you the reason no Florida houses have basements is because it's all limestone. The foundation, it's literally, all of it is just limestone. That's why sinkholes are so common. Because it'll just collapse and just suck your house in. There's people who've died to sinkholes. They just went missing inside of them and never got found. And this is a common thing. A house down the street from where I used to live actually just collapsed into a sinkhole. The guy went missing. They never found him.
oh, Luna, thank you. Luna knows what I'm talking about. It's the Surfside condominium collapse in 2021.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
I also like Tarpa. Earth's a great place as long as you don't live there.
I mean, that is quite true.
Pretty solid there. Solid advice. Love the Earth from
that's-
afar.
It's got its own Wikipedia article too.
Yeah, well, like I say, it was a major. It was a major event,
In
and
Miami.
yeah, and it was so big. I mean, like they really thought that there was going to be change that came of it, but they spent so much time trying to find blame and pass blame around that ultimately the political momentum died off on it, and so nothing really did change as a result of it.
What a surprise.
Yeah, I mean, really. Good old politics.
I feel like you and I are on the same page of just being so jaded about U.S. politics.
It is a little agonizing sometimes. You know you're you care, you really want to care, and then
I tried that. I really tried caring, and you know what? All it did was make me irrationally angry all the time. And now I'm like, you know what? Let's make my life a little easier. Let's stop.
let's just focus on other things. I mean, it's like you can only do it. You can only really stay focused on it for so long, and then you do have to like step away and be like, all right, let's look at the small things. Let's look at my life. Let's look at what's going on with me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But yes. It was a really big deal. It was a really big tragedy for, and they talked about it for a while, and they did a whole podcast on it. And my wife's an engineer, so she was kind of interested in it. So we listened to it once while we were on a trip to see family. We just put it on and listened to the whole podcast.
I didn't know she did engineering work. Does she do like CAD or?
She does a variety of things. I'll not get too much into like her personal life or anything like that. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but she's as an engineer, she has an interest in engineering things. She likes engineering disasters in particular, just because they're, I mean, like they're always so multi-step. Like there's never just one thing that went wrong. It's always like there's a whole puzzle, and she finds that really fascinating.
Oh,
It's like how did this?
I mean, at the end of the day, you could really say the same for most kinds of disasters. There's very rarely a single point of failure. It's usually a cascading problem.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't know. It always goes back to with engineering. It'll go back to a person most of the time, though. Like they will kind of go back to like where did we first start with these problems, with the condo collapse. I think what it was is just that it was like these developers wanted in and they didn't want they didn't want certain expenses. And so they were just like, well, we want to avoid all these costs, and then they were kind of allowed to avoid all the costs, and it was fine for a while. But I think they did like experimental engineering. I don't know. There's other interesting things. Like I watched this thing once about an amusement park that was full of rides that were just like put together by someone with no engineering background, and they were just like, yeah, you just go down this slide, and they'd have like injuries all the time. And it was just like, that's one of the risks of our park. That's what makes it wild and fun. But eventually they had to quit doing that because they got so many injuries. I think what happened was the state finally passed a law. Was it Adventure Park? That sounds familiar, so it might have been Adventure Park. Yeah, like Adventure Park was like this famously unsafe park. And I think what did them in was I think lawsuits about liability caught up to them.
I swear I've heard of this before. This sounds so familiar.
It probably was Adventure Park. Like that was like the unsafe park. And so I watched this whole thing about Adventure Park. Although in my area we had Schlitterbahn, and in Schlitterbahn that was another one. They built this slide. The world's biggest water slide, and that it wasn't done by engineers. It was just done by like a dude, just some dude. And the way they tested it was they just like put these rafts on, and then they like put like sandbags on it, and they were like, that weighs about as much as a person, and they just pushed it down the slide. Schlitterbahn sounds like a drink. Yeah, it sounds like a German drink. Like, here, try a Schlitterbahn.
You know, I swear this sounds familiar too. I mean, I used to watch this YouTube channel that would go over like theme park disasters.
Well, Schlitterbahn was interesting because like Adventure Park got away with unsafe rides for a really long time, but Schlitterbahn, they killed a senator's child, and they were like done. Yeah, that was
that is the quickest way to get yourself screwed. Directly affect somebody sitting in the U.S. Congress. Oh yeah.
yeah. So it was just like, yeah, he got killed on the slide, and then that was it. So yeah, there's your problem right there. Yeah, it was crazy though. How dangerous the Schlitterbahn slide was, because like people were you would have like broken limbs and stuff. Like people would get to the bottom of the slide and have a broken limb because you'd like rise up at certain sections, or you'd like catch. There was like fencing, because one of the problems that they had is after they built the slide, right, and so that's it. They've already sunk all the cost into building the slide. And then they were like, well, we don't want to like unbuild the slide, but they had this problem where sometimes the rafts would fly out of the slide and like, fall off the ride. And that wasn't okay. So they put fencing in. And then the problem was that sometimes the raft still came up and it would hit the fencing. And then if you hit the fencing, you'd break a foot or something, or an ankle. Or yeah, so it just caused injuries.
It's like putting a Band-Aid on a stab wound. What are you really gonna do?
I mean, they didn't want to unbuild the slide. They'd already spent all the money on the slide. So yeah, it was just, and that was what eventually happened. Though was like the raft popped up, and the senator's son hit his chin on one of the fencing bars, and it just killed him. So that was like over right after that. And Yeah, it was wild because then you always think that was something like I always assumed that theme park rides or something like there must be rules for theme park rides. Like you can't just build a theme park ride that like murders people, for sure. But then I found out after that I was like, oh yeah, actually they can.
I mean, there are regulations, but there was that one guy. I don't know if this is recent or if it was like a thing before, where there was a guy who wanted to design a euthanasia roller coaster.
That
Like, have you heard this?
No.
You have not heard this. Okay,
No.
I've got to find this.
How do you find investors for that idea? You're just
I,
like, I've got a brilliant
I
idea. All right, listen. You're gonna love this. It is a roller coaster that kills you on purpose. No, don't walk away. Don't walk away. Let me finish the pitch.
Okay, yeah. So here we go. It's actually got a Wikipedia article. So it's all hypothetical. It was never actually built, but the idea was that it would just go up really, really, really high, and then it would just drop the person to ridiculous speeds, and then just do like 10 loops. And by the time you were done, basically, you would just be dead because the
You would just
G-force
be-
was just too much.
I don't think you would die happy. Like, can you?
No.
That sounds incredibly uncomfortable.
Yes.
That sounds like, oh god, oh no, this is too much.
Yeah,
Too much
I get the
force.
feeling. At first, you'd be like, "Yeah," and then you go, "Oh, I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark." You know?
I regret. Yeah. Yeah, that does not sound like a good way to go. I mean, the way they do it normally is they just put you on a morphine titration, and the morphine makes you fall asleep. And it is, as far as I'm aware, one of the most like humane ways that they euthanize people. Although I do wonder about it a lot. My dad is concerned about that as a fact because he gets he had a disease once that was really bad. He was in the hospital for quite a while when I was a little kid, and they gave him morphine for the pain on it, and he was like, the morphine did not make me feel better, and also it made me think I had ants crawling all over me. Because so I worry a little bit about that. But, it'll make you go to sleep anyway, though, and then they just titrate up until your brainstem shuts off, and it's
Yeah, you just stop breathing and you suffocate.
yeah, and that sounds much better than death by insane G forces on a roller. like that's like,
I
and we
swear
set
to God.
and we set you on fire before you start the loop, so you're really like.
You can look this up. This is real, I swear to God. And there's a Wikipedia article.
I mean, there can't have been that many people who were invested in that as a.
No, I'm pretty sure that the guy, like, a few people were like, "Hey, yeah, we could probably go with it," but most people are like, "No, dear God, what's wrong with you?" So,
Luna says they were given Dilaudid when they were in the hospital for some issues, and it was like 13 times stronger than morphine. Yeah, I guess it would have been. I mean, it would have been. Thinking of my age, it would have had to be like roughly 30 years ago. I guess that my dad had the morphine trouble, so things have probably changed a lot since then. I don't know. I guess they've got stronger or more drug options than morphine than they used to.
well, I think nowadays most of what they use is fentanyl.
Oh, Charlie, we're not talking about like state executions. We're talking about euthanasia, like humane euthanasia. Although by humane, you might disagree when it comes to we put you on a roller coaster and, and subject you to 20 G's of force. Oh, okay. So
Thankfully, that idea, it never got off the ground.
they put Luna on Dilaudid, and then Luna immediately thought that the nursing staff was trying to kill him, or her, killed them. None, I guess. Yes. Which that's a good reason. I can see why the nursing staff would not want that. I can see why they would have a concern there.
Just a little. It's very hard to administer care to a patient who is in the corner with a bedpan trying to fight them off.
Okay, she heard. We got with a character you never know. You could just be like a really big fan of the character. Because I feel like if you really liked Luna and you were like, this is my icon, this is my thing, you wouldn't then call them like Luno, because that would be weird. And people would be like, I don't know if there's a male equivalent to Luna. Come to think.
Well, the moon is inherently feminine.
I mean,
according to cultures.
According to a lot of cultures, yes. So if you were gonna do like a male loon, would it just be loon?
I mean, that could work, loon. I've heard some people use loon.
Selinus? Well, they don't just suggest Selinus. So I guess that would go. Yeah. Tsukuyomi is one of the few masculine lunar deities that Luna can think of.
Is that Japanese? Sounds Japanese. Mani is a masculine lunar deity. Norse. Okay.
We got a couple.
It is Amaterasu's brother. I do like that the Shinto mythology. I find it interesting.
I know like nothing about it.
The only reason I know anything that I do is because I've played enough Shin Megami Tensei games and just read the lore behind the characters and the the demons and the goddesses and all that stuff. I'm not an expert by any means, but they have some interesting stuff.
Let me see. Gotta do a targeting system. Like a modern targeting system has a lot of components. I could just draw like a little targeting reticle, but that would.
Did you draw all these yourself? All these icons?
A lot of these come stock with RPG Maker.
Right.
But the new ones are, yes, I'm drawing them all myself.
Gotcha.
Let me see here. Is this even going to read to anyone as a targeting system? No, that's kind of the bigger question here. I suppose it doesn't matter too much, just so long as everybody recognizes that this is how you get your targeting to increase.
Making like looks like a turret or a little tank.
It's gonna have like lenses on it. It's oh.
Oh, it's supposed to be like a pair of goggles.
Not a pair of goggles. It's actually like there's the F-35, their targeting system. There's a picture of it, and it looks kind of like this. It looks more complicated than this, but I'm taking kind of a simplified approach to it. The whole idea is I just kind of wanted a sort of a technical looking part that goes in your robot. Because the other thing that I could do, I could draw like a targeting reticle, but that's already being used for it'll be used for a buff or debuff to. Yeah, I can make this blue so I can see it a little easier. That's very ugly on the kind of brownish color, but how's Alan doing these days? He's doing okay on and off. I talk to him most when we're doing the VidSomewhere stuff. But I don't know. Like, if we ever got Alan in here for a stream, that would be the place to talk about how's Alan doing and what's going on. Because I catch up with him when I get a hold of him.
I do kind of miss your Alan hours. That was that always cracked me up. I always told myself I would ask you this if I ever got the chance. Did he really like pour whiskey over cereal and eat it?
I don't recall if he actually did eat that or not. He probably did. Like, I feel like that would have been something. I don't know if he ate the whole thing, but he probably at least tried it.
Because I remember you had the clip at the end of it where he was just like, "That is fucking awful."
Then yeah, he probably did genuinely try it. It probably also genuinely sucked.
Oh, I imagine it did. I cannot imagine that is a good way to wake up.
No, yeah, it probably actually just legitimately sucked, and gosh, that hardcore breakfast short, we got so much trouble on that with YouTube. Like they were so like, you cannot do hardcore anything.
The title itself.
Yeah, like it would just constantly kept getting flags and dings and things like that, and I had to continually appeal it, and I'd be like, no, really, we didn't do anything. Please, I swear. We didn't do anything that will make you angry. He pretended to inject eggs into his bloodstream, but it's all a joke. It's not a real thing.
I forgot about that bit.
Yeah, that was my favorite part of that whole thing, was the pretending to inject eggs. I thought that was funny. I thought that was really funny. Google did not think it was as funny as I did, though. Google was like, should we be concerned? We need to cut you off.
Google has no sense of humor, as we've come to learn. Most corporate conglomerates do not.
Like, look, they gotta worry about what the advertisers are gonna say. The advertisers did not want to be advertising on Alan or anybody injecting eggs into their bloodstream. They had opinions on it. They were negative. They were negative opinions.
They usually are. Matter of fact, they typically tend not to voice their opinions unless they are negative. Though I guess that's typical for most people.
Anyway, Alan was talking about bringing back Alan Hour for next year's VidSomewhere, so we might see it. He's also been talking about learning how to play piano, just specifically so he can upstage Dwarven Defender for the next VidSomewhere.
Maybe for the next one, I'll actually manage to get a video on time.
Get something in, yeah, that'll be good. Hopefully this time Jack won't be there to just seize the trophy out from everybody. He was ready with a thing. before we even launched. So he kind of stole it. I mean, it's legit. It's within the rules. He even asked, actually, I think before he submitted, he's like, "Is this okay?" And I'm like, "It's legal. The rules say you can."
That's all that matters, as long as the rules say so.
Yep, we're pretty open with all that stuff. Luna once watched an anime that had a plot involving induced anaphylactic shock by injecting someone with eggs.
What?
And then feeding their intended victim with an omelet.
What the?
That sounds like an anime. That sounds like
It does.
That sounds like.
That does
Like
sound like a rather anime plot.
We need something.
Hello.
Hello. Is this Artisan? You sound dead.
Oh no, it's not Artisan.
Oh, it's not Artisan.
Sorry.
Oh, it's Jack. Oh, okay. You just sound a
Yes,
little like
that was
Artisan.
Yes, when you say my name 3 times, I get some.
I didn't know that. I don't know if I said your name 3 times. Sometimes it happens only only once. Yeah, we were talking about the vid somewhere. That you had that. We don't know if you'll be able to steal it this for the next year. But you were ready.
We'll see. Well, I've got a nice fluffy crown on its way. Perhaps I'll be satisfied. We'll see.
Yeah.
Comes down to Artisan's handiwork. If it's good enough, then you know.
Otherwise, you might have to try and get another one. Yeah, we'll see if he even sends it, because he's promised to. I saw him promise.
Enthusiastic, so yeah, I trust him. I don't trust him in Everdell, but aside from that, I trust him.
Well, that's because in Everdell, his main goal is to create the most unlivable and terrible civilization he can.
Yeah, uneducated, throwing away the best cards. Ugh.
Yeah, mostly just to punish the Everdell creatures for daring to live in his society.
Yeah. Awful.
He's basically just the Joker.
But yeah, I did see all the other. I have weird hours because I have a night shift, so I didn't see it live. But I did see it at night during my night shift. I was listening to the videos mostly, and then like every once in a while looking down and watching as I worked. So, really, really fun stuff.
Did you have a favorite?
I actually liked the llama one quite a bit. The llamas are really cute, and it was nice seeing them. I don't know. I just really like that kind of humor where it's like they were just reading the book. I don't know. Just something about the faces was really nice. Actually, Artisans was also kind of nice. The golden, like your observation about like, yeah, I kind of want to be that monkey. So yeah.
Yeah, he put a lot of effort. Yeah, into just pantomiming monkey stuff. Yeah, it was good. I think the other one, I forgot what it was called, but it was like I think it was like a guy was getting haunted, or it was like a semi-animation. And I remember there being a poll in front of the 2 people talking. I'd have to see it again now. Oh yeah, Penny Stowers, and that was the Soul of the Soul.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a fun one. That was one that I really liked that one. Because that one was just crazy. Penny Stowers was in there in the chat, and I think they were. I can't remember what they were doing, but inebriated somehow. On some level, they were there, and they were ready to go. They were already toasted by the time that we got to their stuff. But they were there. Yeah, that was a fun one. That was a really good one. We had some really good ones this year.
Yeah, I'm excited to see next year's stuff. Yeah, FYI, the video we did was pretty expensive, so I think rest assured probably won't be that level again. But you never know.
Oh well.
Awesome.
Yeah, I imagine it must have. Like, it was really cute. The animation was really good. Does the person who did the animations? I saw that they showed up in a couple of places and they were like, oh, thanks for watching our stuff and everything. Do they do other animations or are they mostly just freelance?
They kind of, so he's self-taught and he just does stuff. He actually doesn't do many commissions. I think he's only done like maybe like 3 commissions, and like 2 of them were from me. So he mainly just he's not used to commissions, I guess. So, but he has his own channel. It's called Macario. He's very into G5. He just likes experimenting and doing his own stuff. So, I don't know. We thought, well, because he does great animations, but also he's really fast, which is why we went for him. Because we were trying to get that video done for the last vid somewhere, and we almost succeeded. But it didn't quite make it. But that was like one of the reasons we got him, because he's so fast. But it was also very expensive. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Any animation stuff would be. I guess it's not surprising he doesn't take a lot of commissions, just because the amount of money it takes to commission an animation has got to be quite a lot. So you wouldn't have tons of buyers, I would imagine.
Yeah. Pretty much. I'm in a good financial situation now, so I can do stuff like that sometimes. But definitely. It is a bit much. I don't know. I also go with. Oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yep. I gotta head out. Y'all take care. Nice talking to you.
See you later.
See ya. I also do the Double W Brothers as well. They're also really good. They've done a lot of. They've done pony stuff for quite a long time now. Like, I don't think they're quite as old as me when it comes to like when their channel came about, but they've been around for quite a while, and they're doing a lot more stuff lately, and they're actually living off their animations just from YouTube now, which is kind of crazy. A bit envious of them.
Oh yeah, that's tough to do.
Yeah, well, they have like videos that they know how to do videos that will get them a lot of views, I guess.
We have whatever says, I love your take on Twilight Sparkle. This probably has nothing to do with My Little Pony math. We're talking about pony stuff now. You showed up at the right time. More or less. We had someone in here yesterday, and I was surprised because they were talking about how they just got into the My Little Pony fandom, and it's kind of funny because, you feel like it's like, oh, it's a bygone era. But then somebody's just like, oh yeah, I just recently found all this stuff, and like I'm really excited about it. It's like being super excited about I don't know, like dinosaurs maybe, or like a long lost civilization. It is, except it's still out there, really.
Yeah, it is fun. I had no idea the bronies until, I mean, it's not that crazy, but like I had no idea bronies were a thing until like 2013. It was weird because like I had watched the show literally because I was gonna rip on it, like back in like 2011, and then when I watched it, I was like, oh, this is kind of good actually, huh? I kind of like it. But then I forced myself to stop watching it because I was like, well, my classmates say if they found out. So I literally, and I had no, I didn't get on the internet back in the days, basically. So I had no idea of the fandom or anything until like a year or two later.
You had no way to know that people were gonna be cool with it and just be like, "Yeah, no, I watch it too."
But there was all this, a whole fandom behind it, and it wasn't as odd as I thought. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
wonderful that there's people still getting into it.
Yeah. Well, he was getting involved in 4chan, and that's what that I feel is a little less wonderful. Where it's like, oh, these days, like really?
Oh
Well,
no.
all right. Yeah, yeah. That's okay, I guess. I guess there's no
Well,
time like the present.
If they're excited,
Yeah.
that feels more far fetched to me. Is it still big on 4chan?
Well, he was on like the MLP board, and so he was like looking at MLP threads and things like that, and that's the thing that felt most far fetched to me as well. Was it's like really like those same threads they've been having since the show went off the air? Those threads, those are the ones that you're following now. But I guess if it's all new to you, then it's kind of like oh yeah, this is funny, because you haven't heard it all yet.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I always got into the top 10 lists. That was kind of my, because they've been going on literally every month for, I guess, 10 years now.
Oh, like all the
But
DJ.
I always, yeah, because I always found that as like a great, like, you got a good mix of just different stuff, and you kind of got a sense of like, oh, what are the memes? What do people know? What are the animations and songs and stuff people get? So I don't know. I always thought that was a great little introduction into what the fandom was like. So.
Oh yeah, I guess because then it's all kind of aggregated for you, so you can
Yeah.
you don't have to like browse through it on your own or anything. Or try and
Oh, reset.
parse good from bad.
Yeah. But I heard you're not going to Mare Fair though.
Yeah, I don't think we are.
What's that?
Yeah. I don't know. It's further away from Pederap. I've got fewer friends on the East Coast. Like I've got one, but I talked to him and he said he's kind of too busy to come out and do anything.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, and I don't think Artisan, because Artisan would have to drive.
Mhm.
So I don't know. Pederap was a bit on the fence, and then it would just be me and him, because I don't think Wolf would want to come out. Like I don't know, our usual entourage. Almost everybody that we travel with is all on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was one of the things that was really nice about Babs is we go out to Babs and then like we have a bunch of people that we know that we get to see again. That are gonna
Yeah,
come out.
you're definitely going to the Babs, the last Babs.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're gonna. I mean, we've talked about it. We're wanting to go. I see that they're doing, I think, pre-registration right now.
Yeah. I have to see when it's that far out. I have to make sure that I can like get the time off from work
Yeah,
because it's so far out. But
yeah. I don't know if they're taking. They may not be taking any applications from actual panelists or anything yet. I'm not sure. I'm following them. Yeah. So I don't want to miss it, but yeah, I do want to go out to that one because that was like the first convention I ever went to, and like I say, it is kind of nearby where a lot of people that I know are at or who will come out. So it'll be nice to do that, because otherwise we got to do like more planned things, like where. Alex said they'd be hyped if we went out to the European cons. That would be difficult. I know of like maybe one person in Germany that we would see. I mean, like if you were there, one thing that's kind of nice, that's a lot of fun, and I don't think I can quite pull this anymore. But back when I was like when I was really kind of at the height of the popularity and everything, you could sort of go wherever during the conventions, and so you could kind of like, I'd be like, oh, can I go back here, can I go back there, and you get invited to every party, and I even got in to hang out with the special party at Babs once, where like the show staff went. It was like one of the closed invitation parties that you only get if you're a and so that was like cool for one thing. It was kind of neat to be there for that, but more than that was that when you got access to those kinds of things, you kind of like, it was easy to bring your whole entourage with you. So you'd be like, yeah, this is me, and then these are all my guys. And what I would do is fans would show up and they'd just be like, hey, do you mind if we hang with you? And I'd be like, yeah, absolutely. And I'd just take them to all those things, and they'd just be like, this is my whole entourage. This is my guy. This is so and so or whatever. And so it would be a whole big event for everybody that came out to see me and had time to hang out. We would just like, I don't know, make it a great big event and hang out. And usually the fans that came by were cool, and everything was cool, and it was cool. It was a lot of fun. The closed invitational, that one with the show staff, I couldn't bring people into it. You had to have a little, they only gave out so many tokens for that, and you had to have a token to get in, so I couldn't bring anybody with us. But for everything else, I would always bring all the, like, any fans that wanted to hang out or were just like, yeah, I came out and don't know what I'm doing now. I just feel like, oh, well, let's go
That's so great.
over here. Yeah.
I remember what was it? I think you said on the Discord where it was like, when you got home, I think your wife was like, why do you look so sad? And it's like, I just spent a weekend, with people coming up to me at a table telling me how great I am, and now I come home and
I'm immediately being yelled at by my child.
just being...
It's just like, yeah, it wasn't, I don't think it was like, why do you look so sad? But it was basically like, I don't know. But it was,
Why
yeah,
doesn't the swing set work?
yeah.
Make the swing set. Make the robots do the swing set.
Oh, it was like dinner. I don't know what he was yelling at me about, but it was, I got home and like immediately it was just like, Dad, you ruined everything. And yeah, it was fun being like the big hero at the convention. And he's not always bad and everything like that. Like I'm still my kid's hero and everything like that. So don't get me too wrong. But for sure though, to your child, you're just dad. And everything is kind of, all their interactions with you are through that lens, and so it's like your dad, and if you don't give them what they want, then it's like, Dad has failed me, and I am going to make this abundantly clear to Dad where he has made his mistake. It was right here when he didn't do what I wanted. So yeah, that was tough. But I don't know. He's doing school full time now, and that's a change. School's good for him. He's getting to see kids his age now. Like, he goes to school and then gets to spend time with kids his age, and that's a big deal. But it's also sad because it used to be that like grandma and grandpa, or we call them bueto and bueta because it's abuelita and abuelito. but he shortened it as a little one to Bueto and Bueta. They used to be like the big deal, but as he gets older, it's kind of more like friends are more important, and he wants to play with his friends after school rather than spending all his time with grandma and grandpa or Bueto and Bueta.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, poor Bueto and Bueta, poor grandma and grandpa.
Yeah, I can see that. How old is he now? What?
He's at an age. I try not to. Well, we don't want to talk too much about.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind then.
He's at an age. Yeah, when it comes to like YouTube stuff, we would try to be wary about that.
That's smart. Yeah. No. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, for a variety of reasons. Like, who knows? Maybe when he gets older, like his friends will find the streams or podcasts or whatever, and then they'll bully him and be like, "Your dad talked about stuff.
Dad's in the ponies.
Your dad's in the ponies." Yeah, I hope they don't bully him about that. Because that's
No. Yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
yeah.
I was trying. Yeah, because I used to work with children at a child development center. So. Yeah, I was just thinking about that. It's like, oh.
Yeah.
Neat. But yeah, I don't know. At some point, you'll have to do our updated Everdell with all the ponified cards.
Yeah.
I can actually probably send you. My brother's gonna do a different draft, but I can probably send you the PDF of the cards if you want.
You can. I don't know if I print them off on my own. I have them, but the only time I really play it is when I see friends, and I will see friends again actually soon. I guess. Well, I'll see. You haven't met 2-Bit in person, but I'm gonna see like 2-Bit and Artisan here again in October.
Oh, who's I forgot their name. I'm sorry if they see this. Who's the person with the chicken OC who was on the stream with you?
The chicken OC?
Or like in the
Oh, that's 2-Bit.
Oh, that is okay. I met him at Everfree.
Oh, okay.
He's at Everfree. So yeah, I did get to meet him. Yeah, you said that. I'm like, oh, I wonder if that's the. Yeah, he was really nice, and we talked a bit about Bid Somewhere.
Oh, okay.
He actually came to my panel, so.
Yeah, that's the guy with all the human teeth that he's refusing to send to people.
Ugh.
Yeah, just absolute.
He can go to cons, but he can't send teeth.
For whatever reason, just won't send the teeth to their rightful owners, the people who won them.
Not the people who they used to belong to, but the people who.
They don't need them anymore. We're done. They're done with those teeth. They're done with them. They don't need them now. You win these teeth. These are winning teeth. Yeah, he's the guys with the teeth. He used to work at a dentist office, and I don't think that they actually are. They're not actual human teeth. They're mostly 3D printed teeth that would have become dentures and stuff like that. So
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, but he has like jars of them. He just has like whole jars of these sort of denture teeth.
Does he keep them in his basement? That sounds very creepy when he just has jars of these teeth.
I don't know where he keeps them. I have to get him in here. I don't know what his current hours are like. I don't know if he could make it into the stream.
The dentistry. Oh no, I don't think that worked. I don't know how to. I'm so illiterate when it comes to. Okay, I'm gonna send a link. This should work. No. Okay. Well. I should be able to just share this, no?
So, what sort of conversation did you walk back on? Says Iffy. Let me see. Well, we're discussing the use of human teeth as a prize,
Like one does.
like one does. When you have access to more human teeth than the ones in your mouth, they should be used for something productive, naturally, and that's the vid somewhere promise, which we have not yet actually upheld.
Well, we'll see if Artisan pulls. Okay,
Yeah, we'll
that
see if
link should
people
work.
see. I don't think Artisan has access to any teeth, though. The Friday usual. Teeth aren't bones. They're skin that learn to grow rigid but cannot regrow. Oh, okay, all right. We got that. I guess I could print that off for my trip when I see everybody.
Yeah. And these are also the New Leaf expansion, which is like, it adds like another, I don't know, like 60 cards or something. And they're all like the best cards as well. Like you can do so much more
Oh, okay.
with these. They're good.
Okay, well that would be good. I do appreciate that Pinky made it in as the fool, the one who lowers your score.
Yeah, that was we went through different incarnations, but like that was the first instinct, and then I don't know why we changed it. I think there was
'Cause
some other reason. But then,
People
yeah,
will
when
argue.
you said it again,
Yeah,
I was like,
will-
yeah, of course she should be the fool.
Yeah, well, of course she should be. Like that's her whole bit. No, I know that when I was bringing that up, Marbles was like, no, she's the best pony.
You can't do. I will tell you this. Pinky saved. Because I won the game at Everfree by like 1 point, and like the reason I won was because someone sent Pinky on me because I had like a card that like, oh, you need to get 7 unique critters in your town, and I only had 6, and I couldn't get another one. But then someone sent Pinky on me. I'm like, yes, this is what I needed.
Pinky saves the day.
I lost 2 points, but I gained 5, and that's all you need. So-
Luna asks, have I seen the news about the Legacy of Kain comic? I've heard about it. I don't have hopes up, but mostly just because it's been out of all forms of like circulation for so long. Like the last time they brought back the Legacy of Kain for something, it was for the MMO. And I actually thought the MMO was okay, but I think Sony thought it wasn't okay. Sony wasn't making as much money on it as they wanted. It was like a TF2 style. It was a team shooter game. And you got to be all the different vampires fighting a bunch of different vampire hunters. Yeah, I really enjoyed the Legacy of Kain games back in the day when they were out. I just enjoyed how positively, like, I don't know, everyone was so self-centered in that series, and they went out of their way to try to sound like the smartest people in the world while making relatively dumb choices all the time. Like that was Raziel in a nutshell. It was just like, I am the smartest man here. I am the one with the upper hand, and he never ever had the upper hand. He was tricked by everybody every time. I will kill Kain at my own leisure. Oh no! I'm killing Kain at someone else's command. How could this have happened? I don't know, a lot of character, like it was a fun series. Okay. Anyway, though, it is.
Yeah, I'll have to go here. So.
Well, that's good. I was just. Yeah, it was good talking. I was just about to close out too. I gotta go get lunch, and then after lunch, I'm gonna try to finish the podcast. So another short one today, so I can do some recording work. But thanks for joining me, everybody who's in the chat, and hopefully we'll catch you.
One last thing. I love the frog. Sorry.
Oh, the frog. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, I love the frog. I do. I saw that. I'm like, oh my god. I know everyone's saying it, but yeah, it looks great.
Yeah. Most.
Okay.
Yeah, top character so far.
Yeah. Bye.
But okay. Yeah. You guys. Goodbye, everybody.